everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Today, as you can tell, of course, we have the return of conspiracy theories, the first conspiracy theories video of 2023. It's a little bit of a different one, I would say. I mean, if I was to compare it to a conspiracy theory we've done before, it would probably be Flat Earth, both geography based and both completely stupid. Essentially, I've got a few conspiracy theories here, essentially, that stipulate that certain geographic locations simply do not exist. They do not exist, apparently. So I think I've got 3 or 4, depending on how depending on how the 3 go. I've got a 4th, but I want to see what time we're at, because it's not a very strong one, to be honest. But obviously, the main one, I don't know if I'm going to put it in the title, is Australia is fake. So yeah, sorry to any Australians watching, you're paid actors and your country does not exist. But before we get onto that one, which is probably the most famous of these theories, we're going to take a little look at one about Finland. And that's what we'll start with now. So, this article I'm going to read is a Vice article, and it's titled, "This Dude Accidentally Convinced the Internet That Finland Doesn't Exist." And they interviewed this guy who essentially started all of this on a Reddit post. So, the theory weaves in Japanese fishing routes, Nokia phones, and the Trans-Siberian Railway to prove that Finland isn't real. So let's begin. Quick, name one fact about Finland. If you're not Finnish, well, you probably can't, and you know what, there's no shame in that, since frankly, the country doesn't really exist. Hell, the landmass that we believe is there doesn't exist either. That's how the theory goes anyway. The prophet of this theory is a 22-year-old man named Jack, who goes by the name Regans on Reddit. Jack, like any good prophet, learned his doctrine from his parents. They taught him a convoluted explanation that weaves in Japanese fishing routes, Nokia phones, and the Trans-Siberian Railway that, in the end, proves that Finland does not exist. In its place exists nothing but the cold and lonely ocean. I was about 8 or 9, and they just casually brought it up one morning when we were watching the news, and Finland was mentioned, Jack told Vice. I can't remember the exact wording at the time, but the gist of it was that Finland didn't exist. It didn't seem that big of a thing to me at the time, because when you're a kid, your parents' word is gospel. Jack took his teachings to the only place that it could ever be truly loved, Reddit. A year ago, on a post asking about the weirdest things your parents taught you, Jack laid out the whole idea and it blew up. This would be the Finland doesn't exist conspiracy's Sermon on the Mount. This was its fundamental teaching. The thing is that Jack, the false prophet, doesn't believe his own teachings. He actually believes that Finland is a real country that actually exists. What an idiot. But his idea has taken on a life of its own, which, shall we say, irked some Finns. A lot of Finnish people have messaged me about it, Jack said. Ironically, since this theory has come out, I've learned more about Finland and Finnish culture than I think I ever would have. I think a lot of people have. One person even offered to fly me out to Finland a couple of years back to prove me it exists, but I never took him up on the offer. I'd have snapped that up. However, we must remember that this is the internet we're talking about. After his initial post on a subreddit, r/Finland conspiracy blossomed with the tagline, "The truth is thinly veiled, sorry." Most of the people discussing the theory are mainly just taking the mick out of the idea, and those duped into thinking the theory is in fact real. But there are some true believers in there. As Jack points out, it's honestly impossible to tell who's joking and who is serious sometimes. There is an internet adage named after a commenter by the name of Nathan Bow, who was arguing creationism on Christian forums. Because of course he was, it's the internet. Bow's law states that it is impossible to create a parody of extreme views so obviously exaggerated that it cannot be mistaken by some readers or viewers as a sincere expression of said parodied views. Wow, I feel like I'm reading a dissertation. I like to think that the Finland conspiracy is a perfect case study of that, Jack told me. I would say 90% of people view it as a parody and joke and can take it as such. But there are 10% of people who genuinely believe it's something needs proving or debunking from both sides. So what do this small circle of believers believe? Well, strap your seatbelt on, kiddos, because we're going to dive into this conspiracy like a person diving into a frozen lake or someone climbing into a sauna. Look, I don't know, I've never been to Finland. Yeah, probably slightly racist potentially, but we'll move on. The main players in the conspiracy are Russia and Japan, and to start we must go back to 1917, when Finland first got their independence from Russia. The notion goes that the two nations created Finland so that Japan could fish the sea that truly exists there without any environmental complaints or repercussions. The fish that are caught are then shipped via the Trans-Siberian Railway from the eastern Russian coast to Japan under the disguise of Nokia products. This is why Nokia is the largest Finnish company, and it is also why Japan is the largest importer of Nokia products, despite the fact that very few people own Nokia phones in the country. Now that we looked at the why, we can move on to the fun part, the explanations on how they quite pulled this off. First, let's start with the pesky fact that there are, Finnish people that exist. Well, our theorists presume these people do really exist and genuinely believe they are in Finland, but they instead are from small towns on either the eastern part of Sweden, the western part of Russia, or the northern part of Estonia. Helsinki, Finland's largest city and capital, exists in eastern Sweden. Take that, you Finnish. This is a rude word here, D-heads. Secondly, the name. Why did they pick Finland for their name? Well, it's simple really. The country was originally made for fishing. And what do fish have? Fins. That's Finland. Nice, that's some good explaining right there. That is. Well, you may ask, surely the countries around the world know about this, so why do they go along with it? Well, young pup, the answer is staring you right in the face. At first everyone went along with it because Japan and Russia were getting along. But over time, Finland became much more than a simple placeholder name for a hidden section of ocean. It became an ideal. Venus, etc. reads the theory. It's a concept for countries and people to aspire to. Simply put, Finland is the world's Canadian girlfriend that totally exists, you guys. I tried to reach out to a famous Finnish person to discuss if their homeland really does exist, but quickly found that there exists no massively famous Finnish person. If you're thinking of one right now, they're probably a Swede. They have a ton of metal bands, hockey players, some killer cellists, and the like, but no universally recognised Finnish celebrity. Teemu Pukki. But as luck would have it, during the writing of this piece, I happened to be doing an interview with Rob Zombie for an unrelated reason. So I decided to ask him if he had ever toured Finland and if he could confirm its existence. That's a good question, said Zombie. I don't think I've ever been to Finland. I've certainly been around the area, but I don't think I've ever been there. So I don't have photographic evidence. I've seen a blurry photo of it walking through the woods like Sasquatch, so perhaps it does exist. Wow, thanks for the help, Rob. I mean, if Rob Zombie hasn't toured in Finland, they can't exist. Rob Zombie is awesome. Jack asked for his last name not to be used because some people are pretty ticked off at him regarding the theory. He still gets messages regularly, some sending 3,000-word essays about how Finland really is a country, and others just send the word Finland for some reason. There truly is every different type of reaction you can imagine, Jack said. Sadly, that means there are a lot of angry reactions. About a year ago, I had to go through my Reddit account and delete a lot of information I've put out there about myself, as one person in particular was claiming he had worked out where I lived, so that was a bit worrisome. Jack points out, at the very least, it's a great story to tell your mates at a bar, over a few pints. I take massive pride in it, Jack said. I've told all of my friends and they think it's hysterical. When sitting around telling stories, very few things trump. I once started a viral online conspiracy that the landmass of Finland doesn't exist. That is literally amazing and perfectly epitomises the internet. Like, one, some people actually genuinely believing this theory, and two, the diverse reaction and outrage of people somehow offended by this parody, by this joke. But that's the thing with the internet, people are always looking for something to be offended by, which is just ridiculous. But that was absolutely brilliant, and that article was so well written, so well done, Vice. Now, I think these next couple are a little bit shorter, but next up we have Australia is fake. You heard it here first, probably not first, but so this woman is convinced that Australia doesn't even exist, and she has evidence. Well, she's got evidence, then we better strap in. Okay, this is written by an Australian person who's probably a paid actor. Oh dear, now we have heard it all. This woman is literally convinced that Australia, aka us, doesn't exist. While some of us may be so spaced out we don't feel real at times, we hate to break it to you. We definitely are. How dare anyone question us? If there are any Australians watching this video, do comment down below and let me know if you are in fact real. Facebook user Shelley Fluoride has written a pretty epic and quite lengthy status as to why she believes Australia simply isn't a thing. Shelley wrote the following, so buckle your seatbelts. Australia is not real. Full stop. It's a hoax made for us to believe that Britain moved over their criminals to some place. In reality, all these criminals were loaded off the ships into the waters, drowning before they could ever see land again. It's a cover-up for one of the greatest mass murders in history, made by one of the most prominent empires. Australia does not exist. All things you call proof are actually well-fabricated lies and documents made by the leading governments of the world. Your Australian friends, they're all actors and computer-generated personas, part of the plot to trick the world. If you think you've ever been to Australia, you're terribly wrong. The plane pilots are all in on it, and have in all actuality only flown you to islands close nearby, or in some cases parts of South America, where they have cleared space and hired actors to act out as real Australians. She added, Australia is one of the biggest hoaxes ever created, and you have all been tricked. Unlucky. Join the movement today and make it known that they have been deceived. Make it known that this has all just been a cover-up. The things these Australians say to be doing, all these swear words and actions based on alcoholism, MDMA and bad decisions, are all ways to distract you from the ugly truth. That is one of the greatest genocides in history. 162,000 people were said to have been transported to this imaginary land during a mere 80 years, and they are all long dead by now. I should think so. They never reached that promised land. She finishes, tell the truth, stand up for what is right, make sure to spread the word. While she spelling error there, so unlucky. Australia is not real. It's a code word for the cold-blooded murder of more than 100,000 people, and it is not okay. We will not accept this. Stand up for the ones who died. Let it be known that Australia does not exist. I don't know about you guys, but I got chills. Literal chills. That was beautifully written. I felt like I was reading a speech from one of the world's great speakers in history. In all seriousness, all I can really say is I hope that is a bloody joke. And again, like Jack, who did the Finland one, that she's on a wind-up. Otherwise, I am worried for that woman's sanity and worried for her family. But pretty funny, to be honest. Fair play. But yeah, Australians, if you could, let me know you're safe, let me know you exist, and drop a comment down below. Right, we're gonna finish with the Bielefeld conspiracy. The town that doesn't exist. Conspiracy theories and myths are as old as humanity itself. A particularly famous one in Germany is the Bielefeld conspiracy, a satirical theory that questions the existence of the city. What started out as a joke amongst friends has turned into a much-quoted running gag on the German-speaking internet, and is often used to show how conspiracy theories build their argument. The story maintains that Bielefeld doesn't exist and is in fact just a facade to hide a big secret. For example, that the university is just an alien shipwreck and the government is trying to conceal it. Let's find out what's behind the Bielefeld myth. Picture this: a student party in Kiel in the year 1993 that informatics student Achim Held is attending. His friend meets a person from Bielefeld at the party and promptly tells the person, oh gosh, I've got to read German here, right? Any German viewers, I sincerely apologise. Das gibt doch gar nicht. Held overheard the exchange, and while this phrase is a common way to express surprise in German, Held joked with his friends about the literal meaning, that doesn't exist. From that moment on, the partygoers would expand the story about how Bielefeld was just a front to hide a secret government operation that they don't want people to know about. In addition, people were supposedly brainwashed into believing that Bielefeld was real, and the Autobahn exit of Bielefeld, which was closed due to construction at the time, was the entrance to a secret government facility. Achim Held published the story as a parody on the internet, intended to ridicule conspiracy theories, where it quickly gained fame. Over time, additional evidence was gathered to prove that the city was not real, like the football club Arminia Bielefeld being sponsored by them, hidden under the brand name Gary Weber. After almost 30 years, the Bielefeld conspiracy remains part of German pop culture. For example, a thriller called Die Bielefeld Verschwörung was published in 2010. In addition, there are several books written about the subject. Even former Chancellor Angela Merkel referenced the story in a speech in 2012. The city itself has also embraced the myth. When Bielefeld celebrated its 800th anniversary, the theme of the festivities was Das gibt's doch gar nicht, and the Facebook page of the city was temporarily changed to Bielefeld Verschwörung. Again, apologies. In 2017. In 2019, the city offered a prize of €1 million to the person that could prove it didn't exist. Although more than 2,000 people participated, nobody was able to convince the jury, and the conspiracy was finally pronounced over. A memorial site for the myth has since been added to the city. So do you believe in Bielefeld or not? The best way to convince yourself that a city exists is to plan a trip and see for yourself. After all, the western town has much to offer for visitors. For example, one can visit Castle Sparrenburg, or many other historical buildings, or spend the day in one of the nature areas. This is quickly turning into like a Jet2 Holidays advert. The Bielefeld region is also known for its Roman history, like the famous Varus battle between Romans and Germanic tribes in the Teutoburg forest. There you go. So again, a perfect example of how the internet can really snowball jokes and stories. But I think with this case it wasn't really a case of people actually falling for it and believing. It just became like a fun joke that became a part of German culture, and that like that article said, the town lent into itself, which is pretty cool. But yeah, those were 3 conspiracy theories on places that apparently do not exist. I think that Finland one is probably my favourite. It's just so funny. But yeah, that is all that I've got for this video. The 4th one was just basically a region in Italy that people say doesn't exist, but it most certainly does. If you guys, as always, have any recommendations for conspiracy theories, then feel free to comment them down below. I do have a playlist where I organise all the ones we've done, so you can check to see what we've done so far. I believe we've done a lot of the big hitters. And I think on my schedule I've got down to carry on with the sort of monsters and like beasts side of conspiracy theories. It's either mermaids / sirens or skinwalkers, I think, next. So you've got that to look forward to. But the next video will be a return to the history videos, and that'll be on Monday. So that is going to do it for this video. Leave a like if you did enjoy it, everybody, and subscribe if you're new, unless you believe that Australia is fake or Finland doesn't exist, in which case, kindly unsubscribe.